What really happens after we die? For centuries, humans have feared, questioned, and wondered about death. Is it the end of everything, or the beginning of something else? Modern science has unraveled countless mysteries of the universe: black holes, DNA, even quantum entanglement. But when it comes to what happens after death, scientists are still scratching their heads. There are theories, experiments, and even first-hand accounts, but no one has a definite answer. And that's exactly why this mystery continues to haunt us. Let's explore the scientific, philosophical, and mind-bending sides of this eternal question. What happens after death, and why science still can't explain it. Death is the most universal human experience, and yet it's also the most mysterious. We all know that one day it will come for us. It doesn't discriminate, it doesn't delay, and when it comes, it often leaves behind more questions than answers. Religions offer one set of beliefs, philosophy offers another, but science, it tries to explain death through biology and physics, but even then it falls short. So let's begin by asking, what does science know about death? Section 1. The scientific definition of death. In purely biological terms, death is defined as the irreversible cessation of all vital functions. That means the heart stops, breathing stops, and brain activity ceases. Once brain activity flatlines, most doctors will declare a person clinically dead. But here's where things start to get confusing. Modern technology has made it possible to bring people back to life even minutes after their heart has stopped. CPR, defibrillators, and certain medications can reverse clinical death temporarily. So then the question becomes, if someone can come back after technically dying, were they ever truly dead? This blurs the line between life and death. Section 2. Near-death experiences. Glimpses into the unknown. Perhaps the most intriguing scientific puzzle comes from near-death experiences, also known as NDEs. People who were declared clinically dead for several minutes have returned with vivid, sometimes life-changing stories, floating above their body, traveling through a tunnel of light, feeling overwhelming peace, meeting deceased relatives, seeing their entire life flash before their eyes. Some even describe being in a different realm where time feels non-existent. These stories are found across all cultures, ages, and religions, which has led some scientists to believe they are more than just hallucinations. Dr. Raymond Moody, a psychiatrist, documented hundreds of such cases in his groundbreaking book, Life After Life. He found that many people who had no prior knowledge of NDEs reported nearly identical experiences. So what's going on here? Section 3. Scientific explanations for NDEs. Of course, science doesn't just accept these stories at face value. Some neurologists believe NDEs are the result of the brain shutting down. As oxygen levels drop and the brain starts to die, it might produce visions, hallucinations, and sensations of euphoria to ease the process. Others think dopamine and endorphins flood the system in the final moments, creating a kind of dreamlike state. There's also the theory that DMT, a powerful psychedelic chemical naturally found in the human brain, could be released in high amounts near death, leading to these otherworldly visions. But here's the problem. None of these theories fully explain how people describe real events they couldn't have known, like what doctors were doing in the room while they were unconscious, or even events in other locations entirely. Some studies have shown brain activity continuing up to 10 minutes after death, but no one has been able to conclusively explain how awareness exists without a heartbeat or functioning brain. Section 4. The mystery of consciousness. To understand death, we need to understand consciousness, and science is still struggling to define it. Where is consciousness located? Is it just neurons firing in the brain, or is it something deeper, something that survives death? Dr. Stuart Hameroff and physicist Sir Roger Penrose proposed the controversial orchestrated objective reduction theory. They believe that consciousness may not arise from the brain alone, but from quantum activity inside neurons. If true, this could mean consciousness is non-local, meaning it exists outside the body. In simpler terms, our consciousness might be more than just a byproduct of our brain. And if consciousness exists beyond the brain, then what happens to it when we die? This is where science begins to enter territory that feels more like philosophy. Section 5. The double-slit experiment and observer effect. Let's go deeper for a moment. In quantum physics, there's the famous double-slit experiment, which shows that particles behave differently when they're being observed. In other words, reality may change based on conscious observation. This experiment has puzzled scientists for decades and raised strange questions like, is consciousness affecting the physical world? Is reality shaped by our awareness? Could consciousness exist without a body? If consciousness is truly independent from the body, it could possibly survive bodily death. Again, this is not proven, but even respected scientists are beginning to explore the question. Section 6. Stories science can't explain. There are countless cases of young children recalling past lives with historical details they should have no way of knowing. One famous case is of a boy in India who remembered being murdered in a past life. He even led police to the exact location of his previous body and the weapon used. Some skeptics say these are coincidences or coaching from parents, but many of these stories have been investigated by researchers like Dr. Ian Stevenson, who documented over 2,500 cases worldwide. While not definitive proof of life after death, these cases remain scientifically unexplained. Section 7. What do scientists say today? So, where does modern science stand on this? Most scientists agree on one thing. Death is a biological event. Once the brain dies, your conscious experience ends. But a growing number of scientists are not so sure that's the whole story. Dr. Sam Parnia, a leading expert on death and resuscitation, has led studies on cardiac arrest patients and their mental activity. He believes that death may be a process, not a moment, and consciousness might continue for a short time after physical death. He also suggests that our understanding of consciousness is so limited we can't rule out the possibility of survival after death. In other words, science isn't saying an afterlife exists, but it can't disprove it either. Section 8. Why this question remains unanswered. Why is it so hard to get a clear answer? Because death is the one thing we can't study in real time. We can't experiment on what happens after death without leaving the realm of science and entering spirituality or metaphysics. Every person's experience is subjective. Every near-death story, no matter how vivid, is still anecdotal. Science relies on reproducible evidence, and until we can somehow measure what happens beyond life, the mystery remains. So, what happens after death? Right now, science can tell us how we die, and maybe a little about what happens in the moments just after. But it still can't answer the big question, where do we go, if anywhere, after death? For now, the answer is, we don't know. And maybe that's okay. Because sometimes the mystery is what gives life its meaning. The uncertainty drives our curiosity. It pushes us to think deeper, live better, and seek answers that go beyond what we can see or measure. Until science can cross that final frontier, we can only listen, wonder, and keep asking, what happens after death? If this question has ever crossed your mind, you're not alone. What do you think happens after we die? Do you believe in an afterlife, rebirth, or complete nothingness? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it made you think a little deeper today. Because some questions are worth asking, even if we may never find the answer.